What's going on, guys? It is your boy. It is day 27. Psych. Day 28. It's your boy Parag chilling like a big villain. Your boy went on a walk. Some life for me. Today is leg day, and my legs are pretty cooked, so we're gonna take it easy, but also try and get a burn at the same time. Trying to push for progression as always. But hey, if you want to skip to the workout, right over there. Before we get into the main reading session, we always gotta start with the question of the day. Yesterday was, if you had 1 week to live, how would you spend it? Answered that already. Question for today is, bro, it's literally the same thing. If you had 1 day left to live, how would you spend it, bro? I don't even know, for real, bro. That's tough. The thing is, like, it's like, obviously I'm gonna like spend time with my family, my friends. But then, a guy like me, I don't got a lover, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm trying to imagine me and my girl or whatever, like, we're, like, on the hill looking at the sunset. I'm like, damn, if I just had, like, 50 more years, I would have, you know what I'm saying? But, no, I think if I had 1 day left to live, instantly I'm spending if I spend my credit card, does it get transferred to my family? If so, okay, I want to do it. But honestly, 1 day left to live, probably just spend time with friends and family. And I'm not gonna lie, I'll probably make a YouTube video addressing everything I've done in my life and document and just say, guys, I have so much shit in my mind. I'm gonna say everything I can possibly say, and I don't know, I'll find like a yearbook from my school, and I'll just go through every single person. I'll just talk about, yeah. Comment down below your answer. All right, so yesterday we were talking about different types of certainties. This one, in an absence of social structure that produces, hold up 1 second here, certainty, love it in itself cannot generate certainty. Moreover, the demise of courtship and of its attendant culture and emotional structures was caused by what was conventionally dubbed sexual freedom, which unfolded through a complex institutional apparatus. The next section examines the collapse of certainty and the shift to uncertainty through the moral and institutional prevalence of freedom. Sexual freedom as consumer freedom. In her book Sexuality, a short introduction, sociologist Veronica Motter asks, how have we come to believe that sex is so important to who we are? I believe the answer to this question boils down to this. Our sexuality is lived as a value and practice of freedom, a freedom that is all the more powerful and pervasive, that has been institutionalized in multiple arenas. As I indicated in this chapter, in chapter 1, in invoking freedom in general and emotional and sexual freedom in particular, I do not refer to the glorious moral idea that has guided democratic revolutions. Following Volkmart's thrust, I view freedom as an institutional practice that recognizes the relationship between constraint and choice, as a productive field of practices, as a source of new and multiple economic, technology, medical, symbolic practices. Moreover, freedom does not remain static. It evolves and changes in forms and meaning because it operates differently in social contexts of disenfranchisement and in social contexts where freedom and autonomy were already guaranteed, morally and legally. The freedom in the name of which women and homosexuals fought and continue to fight against patriarchy is different from the freedom to engage in live sex in webcam rooms. Sorry, caught me off guard. How sexuality became free. What may look like a progressive liberation from religion was the result of powerful economic and cultural forces, which slowly and invisibly transformed the meaning of sexuality. The first social force operating on its redefinition took place in courtrooms. By the middle of the 19th century, the idea that sexuality was private matter and should not be the object of public scrutiny and punishment took hold. The right to the right to be let alone, expressed such widely held theory. It was penned in a very influential article with the title "The Right to Privacy" by famous American lawyers Samuel Warren and Louis Brandeis, and stated, "The general object in view is to protect the privacy of private life." This was an important precedent used to draw the boundaries of a private life in which sexuality oh my god, in which sexuality could not be practiced from far from the security and supervision of community. The right to be alone has been interpreted to mean the right of a person to remove herself from the attention of others and to be immune from scrutiny in a private setting. This early legal concept, freedom from scrutiny, paved the way for subsequent legal views that guaranteed sexual freedom and for the cultural view that sexuality is a prerogative of the individual's private choice and thus freedom. Another important change in the history of modern sexuality was the emergence of sexual science as the end of the 19th century. Beforehand, women's bodies had been thought to be imperfect imitations of males' bodies. What? A simple variation of genetically male body whose sexual organs were turned inside. Where I left off. But sexual science made men and women into sharply and ontologically distinct sexual and biological creatures. Differences between men and women became biological, inscribed and invisible in the materiality of their sex bodies. This entailed the view with the sexes were not only different but also opposite. Now, men and women were distinctly different with complementary strengths and weaknesses. If sexuality was a biological drive, this meant it was natural and as such it was not stained with sin. If it was not sinful, it was easy to conceive of the sexual body as a hedonistic entity. The sight of pleasure and satisfaction, the Fenjamin revolution contributed to enshrine such a view of sexuality as a pleasure principle that, albeit repressed by society, always simmered under the surface of consciousness, thus setting these psychoanalytical subjects on quest for the liberation of such pleasure. The biological hedonic body became the main objective and target of third massive cultural force, namely the consumer leisure sphere. Under the influence of urbanization and the rise of consumer leisure sphere, sexuality became recreational, for fun rather than for reproduction. The site for the exploration and realization of the unrepressed self in a variety of consumer venues. Thus, sexuality underwent major cultural shifts, which fed into one another. Through the legal sphere, it was privileged and made into a prerogative of the individual. It was synthesized through biological views of the body and thus snatched away from the religious morality. Finally, the sexual body was converted into a hedonic unit, both from feudalism and consumer culture. Sexuality became a central topic of public, commercial, and visual culture. Of the scientific study of man, of art and literature, it redefined the meaning of a good life and became an essential attribute of the healthy self. So to be liberated from the obsessive yoke of social norms, these various changes took place throughout the 19th and 20th centuries. They quickly spread in the society because they were not, if not endorsed, at least practiced by a variety of social and cultural elites. Even before the 1960s, including celebrities who lived scandalous lives, actors, intellectuals, writers, and scientists, they all redefine a sexual as quintessentially modern, a free rather than sinful biological impulse as a glamorous attribute of an elite lifestyle. Mostly, these new model of sexuality was promoted by movie actors, fashion models, and artists, people working in public relations and in the beauty industry, as they cultivated at once in sexual attractiveness, beauty, and erotic romantic life located in the leisure sphere. By cultivating their bodily appearance and look, they were setting up and diffusing new sexual norms that incorporated at once fashion, attire, sexuality, and leisure goods. Throughout the 20th century, it became increasingly clear that it was now up to the individual to fashion his or her sexuality in order to achieve glamour, attractiveness, well-being, and intimacy. Message. Read that. It said here, it became increasingly clear that it was now up to the individual's fashion or his sexuality in order to achieve glamour, attractiveness, and well-being. Basically, they're just saying, if you don't look fly, if you don't feel fly, you ain't getting none, is what it's saying. Consumer culture provided the man culture resource for the project. It did so in a number of ways. Next chapter. Consumption as the unconscious of sexuality. From the beginning of the 20th century, visual industries became purveyors of images of beautiful sexual bodies, which which elicited the viewer's desire. Through visual culture, sexuality became one visible of selfhood. Sexuality was no longer a secret part of one's minority or shameful identity to be liberated in the privacy of the psychoanalyst's office, but became a visual performance. Are they talking about corn? Located in the visible consumer object rather than as sinful and thoughts and desires, such sexuality was mediated by consumer items and was put on display through consumption of stories and images. Sexuality took on the form of a sculptic regime of action, consumed through a variety of images of sexual attractive bodies displayed in public through a variety of consumer objects. Sexual attractiveness mixed the sexual attractiveness mixed the sexual and the consumer in one. The visual consumer sphere, which emerged at the end of the 19th century, gained an extraordinary culture and economic strength through the 20th century. Because it was made sexual identity into a visual performance mediated by consumer items, and sexual liberation into a cultural practice marked by a set of visual signifiers, codes, and style. Furthermore, sexual encounters increasingly took place in leisure venues and became the oblique commonality consumed by an array of direct consumer practices. Sexuality was also made an element of consumer culture in a third way. Unmoored from religious prescriptions, sexuality meant that a market for sexual guidance could flourish. Such market came to be roughly divided with four major types of industries. The first was the industry of therapeutic pharmacological services. I chopped that up. The second was the industry of sex toys supposed to help and to improve sexual performances. The third was the advertising and film industry complex, which provided guidance for sexual demeanor, allure, behaviors, and interactions. The fourth industry is corn, which uses men's and naked women's men and women's naked sexual bodies in the most obvious way. All of these simultaneously liberated, shaped, and provided new visual guidance for sexuality. For therapists, a free sexuality became an attribute of identity and mental health, to be painstakingly fashioned by scrutinizing one's psyche. For people working in the visual industrial complex, a liberated sexual helped create a new visual contents, and rich in the cinematic sexual helped create new visual contents. Enriching the cinematic plots and narratives by intertwining soft eroticism with the spectacle of attractive consumer goods. For the sex toy industry, improving sexuality was a matter of using objects or technology devices to enhance sexual pleasure and performance. Finally, in the corn, it is a sexual excitation itself that is commonality. In these markets, sexuality became a commonality to be consumed in order to achieve and realize well-being and pleasure. Sexuality and consumer culture were made into seamless, conterminous practices through cultural objects that started playing an important role in introducing sexual moods. John Gonon describes this in his last page for today, fellas, ladies and gentlemen. Study of the transformation of sexual desire in the aftermath of World War I. These decades were also a period in which new social forms for desire were being created. especially for the young. The independent girl with her bare legs and short hair, young people dancing first to jazz and then swing, double dating in cars while listening to the sound of Glenn Miller and the guy Lobardo, and the exquisite pleasure and anxiety of truly forbidden and dangerous unbinding and touching were all inventions of this period. Gagon refers to sexuality, sexual desire, and sexual liberation as induced, intertwined with, and excited by consumer objects. The Woodstock Music Festival, held in 1969, in the aftermath of the 1968 revolts, was an example of the ways in which cool and impassionate culture commodities came to be associated with sexuality. The role of objects in constructing erotic atmospheres became all the more accentuated after 1960s capitalism faced with the need to expand its own boundaries and as markets became saturated with solid and standardized goods. It extended by tapping into the self itself, into intimate life and into sentiments, all of which started being heavily commercialized. As Wolfgang Streets puts it, Wolfgang, the commercialization of social life aimed to save capitalism from the specter of saturated markets after the years. The 1970s and 1980s were also a time where traditional families and communities were rapidly losing authority, offering markets that the opportunity to fill a fast-growing social vacuum with contemporary liberation theorists and mistaking for the being of new age of autonomy and incapacitation. Emancipated sexuality spread most to social classes through the slow shift from Fordist consumer economy to a post-Fordist one. Using images and ideas of authenticity, fun, coolness, and pleasure, sexuality was the key cultural and practice bridging between authentic liberation projects and the commercialization of social life. Liberation became a consumer niche and a consumer style. All right. That's the end of reading today. Damn, I feel like, yeah, reading this book, it's like they don't figure out. Oh shit, I put over it. Reading with the book is like, damn, it's like back then. It's crazy because like they're spitting. It's like back then, you know what I'm saying, 80s, 70s, you know what I'm saying, it was like forbidden to like touch the opposite gender. Not forbidden, but it was like ooh, I'm gonna touch you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very like, but now it's like sexuality, bro. It's everywhere, bro. It's online, in person. You can like, there's like apps for it. You know what I'm saying? Like Tinder. You know what I'm saying? It's wild. It's wild. It's wild how it's changed, and like it's wild how like some people are being judged based on strictly appearance and, you know, how they handle it. They just don't get none. But hey, thank you guys for watching the reading section. Let's get on to the leg workout. Man, I don't like any legs, but I gotta do it. Leg day. Doing some squats, you know, some night. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, guys. This workout was it was okay, but I gotta, like, I definitely need to go to the gym because, like, these weights are getting kind of light for leg day. Hey, some glute bridges. Yo, pause on everything here. Yo, don't be looking at everything. If anything, just look at my calves. Ooh la la. After that, of course, doing some calf raises. I got some monstrous ass calves. It's kind of sad how my legs are like, you know, muscly, and then my arms are kind of like noodle. But hey, then we're doing some tibial raises. Hey guys, this is really important when it comes to playing ball. Okay, you gotta specialize in this muscle. It's really good for you. And we're ending it off with just some like hip overs. I don't know what you call it. I'm gonna call it hip overs, but you know, just gotta make sure I'm working out the hips. Overall, workout was pretty good today, but I feel like after I come back from Japan, I'm definitely going to a gym. And although I won't be able to record everything, I'll definitely have a better workout because, you know, better equipment, blah, 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 boom. Your boy's looking kind of crisp, you know? I do feel kind of bloated. I don't want to blame the constant creatine, but I feel like I'm not drinking enough water, which is kind of crazy because I do be drinking a gallon of water every day. Maybe I gotta just drink more, TBH. But hey, and for breakfast, literally the same thing: apple, orange, and then a scoop of protein, milk, peanut butter, coffee beans, and protein powder. It was pretty good, but I put too much milk, so it was kind of like soupy. I don't know about y'all, but me personally, I like having oatmeal that's like kind of like, you know, it's kind of green, not grainy, but like it's not. I don't like it watery, is what I'm trying to say. But hey, on to the lunch. Hey, for lunch we got some goat curry and some quinoa salad. It was pretty good, but I'm not gonna lie, it was a little too oily, so my stomach kind of off after that, but not too light. And then boom, I had shout out to the homeboy manager. We went to get some cocoa. This was the special drink of the month. It's like a lemon probiotic. I'll be famous for real. Drink 420 calories, not too bad. And for dinner, I'm not gonna lie, the exact same thing, but more salad and less goat meat. But hey, thank you guys for watching the video. That is day 27. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 29. I love y'all.